No tag expected for running back Kenneth Walker. Yeah, it might be 5:13 a.m. Arizona time, and I haven't slept, but that doesn't matter because it's free agency time in the NFL. Tags are getting dished out, or in this case, not dished out, and we're here to digest it. We're here to break it down. What does it mean? What did Schefter say? What is the franchise tag for an RB? Got it right here, about between 14 and 15 mil. And what does this mean? The Seahawks don't want to tag Kenneth Walker, who's an unrestricted free agent, might I remind you. This guy could go wherever he wants. Is there already an agreement among gentlemen, a handshake deal saying, we're going to get it done? Can we count on you, Kenneth Walker, to keep your word? Does Walker say, can I count on you to keep your word? Are they going to just iron something out real quickly and the tag's not needed? Because this man, does this look like a guy that wants to go pack his bags, sell his house, and go somewhere else? Probably not. I think he's pretty happy. We'll break it all down, though. We'll break down the idea that he does want out. We'll break down the idea that maybe he was offended when his GM started, I don't know, making him feel uncomfortable on stage. Maybe none of that mattered. Maybe it did. We'll break it all down from every angle to prepare you. And yes, it's now 5:15 a.m. and I'm still talking prior to the intro. The intro is here. The Fantasy Football Show breaking news is here. Good morning.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios. It's the Fantasy Football Show. Live! Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Smitty is also live whenever news breaks.
So, first off, let's read Schefter's report, and then we can digest it together. This coming from Schefty, bright and early, crack of dawn. It's unlikely the Seahawks will use their franchise tag on running back, or literally in Super Bowl MVP Kenneth Walker. Per league sources, the Seahawks have multiple free agents they want to retain and sign. They will also try to extend wide receiver Jackson Smith and Jigba. There are enough Super Bowl tax costs that now make using a franchise tag this offseason unlikely. So, what Schefter's telling us is that they've got a lot of things they've got to look into from the accounting perspective, right? Does that mean that if they're not willing to franchise tag good old Kenny Walker at $14 million per year, a number he's surely going to ask for annually, right? He's going to try and get paid like a top 5 running back. You got to ask yourself, do they intend to keep him at all? Or does the accounting on a deal like this kick so much money down the road and have upfront money, make it very team friendly so they can retain guys and give them essentially a lot of money up front, more money up front than he necessarily would maybe get if he signed a different deal? Then maybe it does make sense for this team financially to not tag him. That's too expensive. Give him kind of the same amount of money, but more of it up front in the way that it all pencils out. I kind of have a gut instinct here. If you want to know my gut instinct here, I'm sure you do. I'm not saying it's right. You might have some good guesswork going on here too, because that's what we're doing. We're all guessworking here. But I bring a couple years to the table here, 20 plus years of breaking this stuff down. My guesswork here is that he has no intention of leaving. That he's a man of his word. He's telling the team, don't worry about it. And that's if Schefter is correct. They still could tag him. Maybe Schefter's wrong. Schefter's not always right. But if he's been told we're not using the tag, or I don't know why they'd ever tell Schefter that information. It's like disarming yourself going into free agency. It makes no sense. But if Schefter is in fact correct, and they don't, let's just assume he is, and they don't tag him, there's a real good chance Walker's like, I'm not going anywhere, guys. Make sure you pay me, and I'll be here. Now, where this could go, that's what I believe is going to happen. I don't think he's saying, don't tag me, I'm gone. I'm gone. They just won a Super Bowl. You got to also remember that his best friend is Zach Charbonnet, practically. And you and I might think, oh, I want to be somewhere where Charbonnet isn't. That's not how he thinks. And he's a real laid-back, chill dude. And he doesn't care about the numbers necessarily. He wants to feel utilized. He wants to win Super Bowls. He wants to be effective. He wants to have purpose. He doesn't want to have good stats, pad the stats, and lose games, not win a Super Bowl, have big numbers, get hurt. He's been struggling to stay healthy his whole career. We love Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Walker is a man among men. We love him. 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 But he has struggled to stay healthy. He stayed healthy this year, sharing the rock with the man known as Zach Charbonnet. And so he probably likes the little setup they got going on in Seattle. I truly believe in my gut that this is a man that's literally told them, as long as you give me the money that I want, I'm staying. And there's a world where this goes a different direction. Walker's intentions are to stay. They don't tag him. He doesn't go poke around or explore, but they don't get on top of things. They're not offering him what he wants. And then all of a sudden, he's like, well, I guess my agent's whispering in my ear, sweet nothings, let's go get some money, Kenny. And Kenny goes, all right, we'll see you later. Like Saquon Barkley. You know, Saquon Barkley said, here's my number. And Joe Scheinbox was on the phone. They have this on Hard Knocks on HBO. And Scheinbox is like, yeah, that's not our number, to his agent, obviously, not to Barkley. And he said, yeah, okay, bye. Hangs up the phone, tells the owner of the New York Giants he's going to go shop around. The New York Giants owner says, I sure hope he doesn't end up in Philly. Then, da-da-da, news breaks. Saquon Barkley headed to Philly. The owner about lost it. As quiet as he is and mild-mannered as he is. That could happen. That scenario could happen in my scenario. That's a sub-scenario of my scenario. A double scenario, if you will. 2 dimensions of how this thing could go astray and awry. But at the end of the day, do you think the GM standing up there at the podium going, MVP, MVP, I was talking to Walker, and it was uncomfortable. Let's address that real quick. I was talking to Walker. If anybody missed it, he was wasted, sitting there at the podium going, and it was so weird. He came up to me and he started to negotiate a new deal. It was really weird. And he looks over at Walker, and Walker doesn't party, doesn't get in the state of mind that this guy was in, felt uncomfortable, doesn't like the big stage, is a nervous kind of guy in public, likes to just go home and work out, didn't even want to celebrate. Walker didn't even want to celebrate at the parade. I respect that. He wanted to play ball. All he wanted to do was get back and play PlayStation, rush for 250 and 5 touchdowns using himself. That's all he wanted to do. That's all that was on his mind. I respect that out of Kenny Walker. I smell meatloaf. That's the kind of running back. That's the kind of running back that I want. But this GM was like, oh, he's so weird. He's so weird. He tried to negotiate a deal with me a minute ago. But all that aside, people said that, oh, he's gone. You know, he disrespected Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Walker's so mild-mannered that bothered him, but it's not really going to really bother him because he doesn't let things bother him. It's like, you know, this is Kenny Walker. He's in a meeting and they're, hi, Kenny, your car's being towed. Okay, thank you. All right. Hey, Kenny, your house is on fire. Yeah, okay, thank you. I'll be there. Hey, Kenny, you just qualified for a $15 million signing bonus. Okay, thank you. I'll see you outside. That's Kenny Walker. He doesn't care. He's mild-mannered Kenny. So ultimately, as offensive as it was and weird as it was for this GM to be sitting at a microphone going, Kenny Walker's so weird. It was all done in good humor. It was done in that he was so excited about him that he wanted to pretend that this conversation happened. He thought it was a funny joke. And then he started chanting MVP, MVP, MVP. And does this sound like a GM that wants to get rid of Kenny Walker? Does this team who praised him, loves him, MVP of the Super Bowl, does it sound like this is a divorce waiting to happen? This is a man that's probably just staying put. And he trusts the process, and the process probably will trust him back. That is my gut instinct here. I don't think that this is a sign, kind of how Schefter's wording this. They've got Jackson Smith and Jigba. They've got this and that. They've got guys they need to retain. Kenny Walker's not a priority. I don't get that from what Schefter's writing here. I get that the tag financially straps the team in a 1-year confine that's different than spreading things out and structuring a deal that has a lot of upfront money. Just because they don't want to pay him the 1-year franchise tag amount of $14 million doesn't mean they don't want to pay him $14 million. They just want to pay him $14 million a year in a different way, in their way, in their accountant's, desired way. That's what that means to me. And at the end of the day, if something happens and the tag is not used like Schefter reports it won't be, and the Seahawks crap the bed on the situation, piss off Kenny Walker, offend him, or he was offended already, or something's wrong and we're reading this thing wrong, where's he go? I'll tell you, there's not a lot of places he would go that wouldn't tickle our fancy. And I will also say, as much as I love Kenny Walker, I don't really want him going anywhere else. I do believe we've got opportunities for Jeremiah Love, for Breece Hall, for Travis Etienne, who probably also remains for this very same reasons. Mild-mannered, doesn't really need the thrill of going somewhere else, doesn't really care about the frills of things either. And it's just like, this is a guy who wants a tractor, his farm, doesn't want to play in cold weather. That eliminates pretty much half of the destinations he could go to. And so Javonte likely to return to Dallas, although Jerry can muck that up. Etienne likely to go to Jacksonville. Hall, we might find out today. We might be live on the Jets aren't franchising Breece Hall. Are not franchising Breece Hall. We might be going live on that today. Or that they plan to, or whatever. Maybe that happened right now. Maybe while I'm yapping away, that news broke right now. I might need Travis to interrupt me and let me know if that's happening, or whatever mods are in the building right now, or whoever is watching this. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of landing spots that I would rather have these guys go to. I'd rather have Jeremiah Love, not because I don't love Kenny Walker. Guys, I love Kenny Walker, but he has struggled to stay healthy. There is a world where I'm fearful of Kenny Walker going to the Saints situation and then not being able to handle it, not staying healthy, not being used properly, whatever the case may be. There's Kenny Walker to Washington would be kind of fun. But I want Hall in KC, Washington, or New Orleans. I want Jeremiah Love in the Saints, Chiefs, or Commanders situations. I want the Vikings to get involved in this kind of thing. There's definitely a world where, Charbonnet coming back from an ACL, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. I'm not saying he can't at midseason be somewhat back to form. It's certainly possible. But Kenneth Walker's in the place he needs to be, I think. And I think he's going to have a good year. I also don't know that I feel he's going to be a guy that I'm drafting as much as I would want to. Because if he's going in the third round and going extremely high, and if he gets a contract that speaks to top 5 running back numbers, a lot of the fickle Freddies, and even people that are creating, some of this content where they're like, now I like Kenny Walker. He's getting paid like a top 5 running back, so he must be a top 5 running back. And all this is going to just feed into the frenzy. And so his ADP is going to climb. Big money usually spells higher ADP because people are fickle. They're fickle Freddies to the core. And so third round value, I don't know that I'm all about that. I'd maybe take a share because I love Kenny Walker. He's a spaceman. But I think I would prefer not to waste the situation long term that could be Jeremiah Love in New Orleans, or Jeremiah Love in KC, or Jeremiah Love in Washington, or Breece Hall in KC, or Breece Hall in New Orleans, or Breece Hall in Washington. I would rather have Kenny Walker do what he's doing where he's proven, not learning a new system, not being treated differently. Let's test that out one more time without Charbonnet in the picture for half of a year and then see how it looks. Because I'd rather have those other situations absorb the incoming rookie or whatever, whether it be Hall. Love to know what you guys think here. The franchise tags on screen: QB $47 million, running back $14.18 million, wide receiver $28 million, tight end is $16 million, offensive line $27 million. Woo, doggy. Wow. Phone lines are open. Dial in. I know it's early.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
I know it's early, but it's time to discuss a little ball and see what's what. So let me know what you guys think. Overcome, you dropped a super chat earlier, and you said if Overcome's out there watching, Overcome, I think you're there, right? Did you see my response? You were a little late, or I was a little late. You were a little late. You were early. I was late answering your question, but I did answer it, and I don't know if you saw it. What I said was dropping Najee Harris. That was your question on your super chat, and I appreciate you. Here's your standing ovation in case you... I said dropping Najee is certainly understandable in a dynasty, but it does depend on who you're going to pick up. So if you could give me a couple options and I could weigh that against Najee, I could tell you if that was the case. Burnt Toast, appreciate your super chat. Appreciate my Rumblers, Aldi over on the Rumble side of things, New Age Outlaw. Appreciate you guys on Rumble. Rumble's going to cross over 4,000 followers today, which is going to be absolutely unbelievable.
Let him cook.
Unbelievable. Burnt Toast says, AM live to the moon. Thank you, kind sir.
To the moon.
You to the moon, young man. Appreciate your super chat and doing it live, doing it early, my boy. Travis, you are live.
Hey, what's up? Yeah, I mean, I think you're probably right that it's more so like an accounting thing where the franchise tag makes it a one-year deal, so all that money sits on the cap for that 1 year. They can't spread it out. And, you know, it is risky to even expose him to the point where, you know, something could happen. Someone could, you know, whisper in his agent's ear where we're willing to give you this much more, stuff like that. But at the same time, Seattle's probably has a number in their mind they want to give him and are willing to bet no one else is going to top it by so much that he'd want to leave, that they're willing to roll the dice, I guess.
Yeah, but I also think that, like, Kenneth Walker is not the kind of guy that's going to go back on his word or anything like that. And I think they know that, and I think they're willing to risk it. You know, like, what if he like Puka Nacua just started acting all crazy, and then they're willing to risk it because guess what? They're the Super Bowl champions. You think they're going to have a tough time getting the top running back free agent if Walker decides to walk? If Walker walks, then guess what? The Seattle Seahawks start talking the talk, and they get on the phone and they bring in whatever they want. But here's an example of what I was saying, what Travis was emphasizing of what I was saying, is if you know, the financials are funny, and sometimes it takes a, you know, accountant to, you know, sometimes it's hard for me to even break down why the dead cap changes and all that because of the contracts, the dates that we're talking about the dead cap. A trade is different than a release. But right here, I like to use Patrick Mahomes' contract because it's the most extreme example you can find known to man. And Patrick Mahomes signed a 10-year, $450 million deal back in 2020. And when he signed that, the whole world that was uneducated about contracts, and I don't blame them because it's not what their specialty is, but they run their mouth in a live chat or in a comment section, and they don't know what they're talking about. They'd be like, oh, the Niners or the Chiefs will never sign another offensive lineman or repair their offensive line or bring in anybody for the next 10 years. But you look at what the base salary is. The base salary, $825. This guy signed a $450 million deal. His cap hit was $5 million, $7 million, then 35, then 37, then 37, then 28, then 78, then 74. And, you know, that's when we're getting right here. This year's 78. So what is it? Does Mahomes restructure? He might restructure, open up some space. We'll find that news probably soon. But $78 million, this is the first time that, so the books are different, right? So you look at a deal where Mahomes is getting paid $45 million a year and his cap hits $5 million. So that's why taking Walker, when you say, well, if they're not going to sign him for 14, they're not going to sign him at all. No, they might give him more than 14, but they'll structure it different. A lot of upfront money. Let me put Mahomes' deal back up. Mahomes got a signing bonus of $4 million, $2 million, $2 million. He didn't even get like big signing bonuses until, we'll see how the deal's structured and all that. But I can almost guarantee you that the initial thought here, even if it goes awry, is what we just mapped out. That it's like they're willing to risk that he's lying to them, and that he's probably the kind of guy that tells his agent to kick rocks if his agent's trying to make him go back on his word. This is not that kind of guy. Walker's all business, but not in the way that it's like, oh, he's going to treat it like he's, not going to respect, the situation and go after money kind of business. I mean, he's all business in terms of like, it's football. It's I don't know. We'll see. I could be wrong on this. I could be totally wrong. I have no inside information. This is my gut. I even said that from the beginning. My gut instinct and gut read, initial knee-jerk reaction is this is the way it's going to go. It could 100% go a different direction if the Seattle Seahawks accounting department starts acting weird. Like, I can't control that. If they start doing some weird things and they start trying to press them, and they start trying to finagle them, or maybe they haven't even talked numbers yet. They're like, we're not going to tag you. We'll work out a deal. And Walker's like, that's fine. And they haven't even gone into details yet. Like that could also be a way that this is headed. And then they get to the table. They're like 10 mil. And he's like, no. I want at least top 5. I want at least 14 mil a year. But I want a lot of upfront, make it team friendly, whatever. But I want like a massive amount, I want a year and a half up front, type of thing. And then they say, no, we can't do that. We got Charbonnet coming back. And then that's when things could go different. But we don't know to what degree they've, spat on their hand and shaken and shake hands on this thing. We don't know. There's all guesswork at this point. I just mapped out my gut.
Yeah. And in terms of them, willing to roll the dice, take that risk, whatever, they are insulated when you look at it. One, not that you want to do this, but you just won a Super Bowl, so you've bought goodwill with the fan base. 2, not that they'd be happy about losing Walker, but 2, you have Charbonnet. He's coming back, expected to come back 100%, he's young. And then 3, it's not a bad year to do this because of the options out there where you have the Breece Halls and the Travis Etiennes that, God forbid he gets away, you go and throw a big offer, or you just go to Rico Dowdle and say, here, you can start for us for half the season, 3/4 of the season,
Rico! Rico's like the safety net for a lot of teams probably, because
right.
If you don't like this running back class or whatever, you just rent Rico for a year or two, and he's hungry, he's angry. I bet he wouldn't even take a seat during the interview. They'd be like, Rico, have a seat. He's like, I'll stand. I'm angry. I'll stand. I'd hire him on the spot if that's what he did. In fact, I hope to God I never have to interview for anything ever again in my life. And I have all of you to thank for that. But because I hope I work for you guys for the rest of my life. That's my plan, right? But if God forbid, I ever had to go back into the workplace, I'm going to remember that. First thing I do is go ahead and have a seat. I'll stand. I'm already working. I don't sit. What do you mean you don't sit? I don't sit. Why would I sit? I'm here to work. Well, this is just an interview, Smitty. I'll stand. New Age. Thank you for the gifted membership, young man. I'll stand again. All right, go ahead, Travis.
No, I think it would be a surprise if they didn't get something done. I was just looking at the average per year, the top 5 guys, and it's Saquon at 20, McCaffrey at 19, Henry at 15, JT at 14.
Read those off again. Number one.
Yep.
Number one is who?
So Saquon, his average per year, on the contract. So he may not be making that this year.
Yeah,
or whatever,
yeah.
But the average per year is 20.6. Then it's CMC at 19. Derrick Henry at 15. JT at 14. And then Kamara at 12.25. And Jacobs 12. James Cook 11.5. So, I mean, they might say, like, oh, James Cook, that's the contract we're going to try to base it off of, because he just signed that deal or whatever. But
I just look at
Walker's going to want more than that, right?
I just look at Kamara and be like, when you what? Wait a minute.
I know. Out of place.
I think I want what he has. At least. I mean, I don't know. I mean, look, you're NFL MVP. That's a big deal. You're also a team that has the ability, you got some cap space. You really do. You have the ability to overpay just a little bit. Like Schefter made it seem like this is very doom and gloom of Schefter. They got a lot of guys they got to bring back. They want to extend JSN. Sometimes extending a player opens up money, by the way. It depends how it's all structured. But Schefter's making it seem doom and gloom. They've got a lot of space. And if you want to splurge a little bit and then just structure the deal the proper way, you splurge a little bit. I think that there's no reason why he can't be in between 4 and 5. When you're the Super Bowl MVP and your other running back just tore his ACL.
Yeah, and so let's see, JT's was 42 million was the total, and then Alvin Kamara, he might be on he's on a 2-year deal, 24.5 million. So, he could say I want 4 years at 15 million. 4 for 60. That could be a mark he shoots for.
Yeah. Look, I guess the one caveat I'd throw out as far as like, oh, Smitty, you said, like, I want to make sure people don't think that I'm saying that this is done and that Walker will return. I'm not saying that at all. There's a chance that Walker and the team, like, I don't think they've negotiated a deal. You can't. First of all, you technically can't. Like, you can't negotiate a deal. Like, they probably have said, like, loosely, hey, we'll get it done. What are you thinking? Like, I'm sure that conversation's like been loosely had, but there's still a good chance they completely are way off. They haven't gotten into any of the details whatsoever because it's been a verbal conversation, So there's a real good chance Walker is and the team have an idea of what they want, but there's a chance they could be miles apart when they open up the conversation and say, well, okay, but what about the incentives? And they're like, well, it's like you can't have possibly had all those parts of the conversation yet. So there's still a world where this falls apart in a major way. So I want everybody watching the stream to know that I'm saying that. But I think the intention of not using it, the reason I broke down everything I broke down was the intention of not using the tag was for the very reasons that I explained for about 20 minutes. It doesn't mean that it's all going to work out. It just means the intention of not using the tag is to say, hey, we want you, you want us, right? Right. Okay. Well, it'll all work out. Okay. And Kenneth Walker being such a laid back guy is like, yeah, it'll work out. Okay. Not a big deal. His agent's probably going, what are you doing here? You're like, I want to go make money. And agents are driven by the money factor. So there's a good chance his agent's going to try and twist things and try and, lure him away. But maybe not. Maybe his agent and him are real tight. And, some people just serve their client, and he might say, you want to go? You want to stay here? We'll make it work. So we don't really know what that relationship's like. But I do think the intentions are pretty clear here, in my opinion. Whether it works out, that's a whole nother ball of wax. And man, I'll be damned if this is the only thing we go live on between now and even like maybe 2 p.m. Eastern, because there's probably more tag speculation at least, even if it's not like actual news. Like someone's going to be like, well, Schefter just reported on the tag here, so let's report on the tag. I think that this will happen, and all of a sudden everyone's, taking what somebody projected and running with it. Now, the players that could be potentially tagged, let me put that on screen here too, because it's a pretty short list, and there probably won't be a lot of tags this year, and you should probably expect it to be this list alone. So let me put it up on screen and screenshot it. But it is George Pickens, it is Daniel Jones, Alec Pierce is being tossed around. It's not crazy to imagine them, I guess, franchise tagging him, but it also, it doesn't really sit right with me either. Like it's not one of those things that makes me like say there's absolutely no chance that happens, but it does not feel like it's necessarily in the cards. But here, real quick, hold on, Travis, let me just put these up.
Yep.
So it's George Pickens, Daniel Jones, Alec Pierce, Kyle Pitts. I don't know about that one either. The tight end is 16, maybe. I mean, I don't know. Kenneth Walker, Trey Hendrickson, and then Breece Hall. There's a chance we see one tag out of all those guys. It certainly could be more, but there's a chance we see one tag. There's a chance we see no tags. But we could definitely see one tag, maybe two, I think.
You think, well, they have to tag Pickens to trade him, right?
Yeah, and so that would be
he'll almost, I mean, unless something crazy goes, he'll be tagged. Obviously, Daniel Jones won't be. It's $47 million.
Well, I mean, they could work out deals though before the tag. Like the tag is there.
Right. That's true.
These teams try not to tag the player if at all possible, because it sours the relationship a little bit. It steps on their feelings, and then all of a sudden it's harder to negotiate a deal because you're all upset. You're in your feelings, and now you maybe even want more. The longer George, like here's the kicker, and this is the part that I caution about every year, because I feel like there's so many ridiculously inept GMs and decision makers across the entire league, and people come in and go, Smitty, you think you know more than these GMs? Yes, a lot of the time I do, or I wouldn't be here. Like, why would you watch me if I wasn't sitting here? Even if you think I'm some egotistical a-hole or whatever, maybe I just entertain you and you don't really believe what I'm saying. Whatever the case may be, I'm glad you're here. But what kind of show would this be if I was like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, these guys are the professionals. I don't know what I'm talking about. Why would you watch me then? Like, of course, I think I know more than some of these morons. But you have these teams, GMs, and decision makers, the financial decision makers, that sit on some of these deals. And we talk about the Ayuk situation as a very, very, very easy one to reference to convey everything I'm about to say. And you have these teams dragging their feet on a deal they should just probably get done. And so in the case of Pickens, that's probably going to be the case. Dragged out. They want to work a deal out. Jerry's very comfortable trying to finagle to the end of time, and then he thinks he's so smart, and he comes in at the end of the day. But what happens when these inept people sit here and think that this is smart negotiation tactics? You have JSN get extended. You have Puka Nacua get extended. And those tiers of highest paid player increase so high. And then you got some random Roger that comes in and goes, yeah, but he's not going to get paid what Puka gets paid. You don't know what you're talking about. It still drives Puka. Puka still drives everything. The guy at the top, it's like a spider web. If you throw a spider web over everything, right, and you raise one piece and it's connected to another piece, it brings that up with it. So if Puka's the top cream of the crop, and then all of a sudden JSN matches his $41 million, and now you got JJ, JSN, Puka Nacua, you got all these $40 million earners. Guess what happens to Pickens? His request of $35 million, I'm not saying he's going to be under 40, but I'm just saying, let's say he was at 35. Now he wants 39 or 40. And it's all interconnected. It's all interconnected. And Jerry Jones and everybody, the Niners are the biggest culprits in this massively naive way to approach contracts. The Niners are the worst. This is why Kyle Shanahan is such a bad coach in this regard. His offseason process, their draft picks have been awful since Adam Peters has left, by the way. He's an amazing in-season architect of the offense, scheme artist, and in-game manager of the OC type roles and things that he's responsible of that are categorized as offensive coordinator duties. But when it comes to being a head coach in the offseason or in the playoffs, sometimes he is absolutely inept. And John Lynch, too, you could blame Jed York, you could blame the entire organization, but the Niners are the worst. They did it with Debo, they did it with Ayuk, they did it with Bosa. All three had horrible seasons because they dragged it out until the end, and they still caved at the end of the day. They caved more than the player did, so why not just get it done at the beginning? So George Pickens is going to want, let's just say he wants $38 million. You might want to give it to him. Because if George Pickens watches Puka Nacua and JSN get $40+ million per year, Pickens is no longer going to accept what he would accept if you just did the damn deal today. And if you go to the end of it all, Jerry's going to be accepting a number that is higher than the number he's turning down right now. And I get so sick and tired of these people not knowing what they're doing and watching it from afar and just throwing my hands up in the air. It's entertaining and it gives me content. So at the end of the day, I don't really care. I might seem like I'm upset. This is my resting face. This is just me having a conversation. I'm not mad. All right, go ahead, Travis.
Yeah, the Pierce one is interesting because I saw someone mention something about Pittman in the in the chat, and so they have an out with Pittman where if they cut him, it's $5 million dead cap.
Yeah, Pittman's gone.
Keep him, so he's going to be gone.
Pittman's gone. So, Alec Pierce is their main objective. They want to keep Pierce. There's no doubt about it. Would they tag him, though? I don't know about that. They could. I mean, you could transition tag. Like, Javante's probably going to get.
Yeah.
The transition. There, I'll even have Krueger explain the difference between the transition tag and the. Because he'll probably maybe he'll do a better job. Maybe he won't. He might not. Hey, Krueger, can you explain the difference between the franchise tag and the transition tag for the audience? We're live, by the way.
Oh, absolutely. So the franchise tag is when a team locks a player in for 1 year at a salary that's the average of the top 5 at his position, or 120% of his prior salary, whichever's higher. He can't negotiate with other teams. The transition tag is a little softer. It's the average of the top 10 salaries at his position. He can negotiate with other teams. His current team has the right to match any offer.
And so the thing about the transition tag that's really great is that with running backs, you're not going to have teams knocking down Javante's door and be like, dude, we'll overpay you. Why? Because of the fact that you have this many running backs sitting there on the market, not to mention all of the rookies. So this includes some of that. But Jeremiah Love, Hall, and again, Hall might be tagged and then he's held in place. ETN, we'll see what happens. But ETN's, probably not going anywhere. But the transition tag, no one's going to offer Javonte such a big deal that the Cowboys are like, oh, I mean, they might, but the Cowboys might be penny pinching like Jerry does. But it's not. It's going to be one of those things where, like, why didn't Jerry bring him back? I don't think we're all going to be like, oh my God, yeah, Jerry, you got to let him go. It would be one of those Jerry moments where we're like, just match it, Jerry. Jerry, just match it, Jerry. Hold. And then Jerry's going to just crap the bed. Or he doesn't wake up in time and then the time expires. But I think you could, transition tag, and it would make some sense. Now Pickens, I wouldn't transition tag. Pickens, you can't, because that he'll be like you'll be paying through the nose to keep him. But Walker, is there a reason why Walker wouldn't be able to be get the transition tag? Because why isn't Schefter like mentioning that? Is there something? Hey, Krueger, is there some reason why Kenneth Walker can't be slapped with the transition tag?
No reason at all. The transition tag is totally fair game for any impending free agent who qualifies. In Walker's case, if his contract situation ever lined up, not there yet, of course, he's still on a rookie deal, Seattle could absolutely use the transition tag. It just gives them the right to match any offer he might get, but no compensation if they let him walk.
Okay. And there's no like specific. Hold on, Krueger. Yeah, I don't think there's anything that's standing in the way of when can the trans. Let me just look up something real quickly. If an NFL team, the transition tag cannot be used if a team has already applied a franchise tag, exclusive or non-exclusive, to another player, as the teams are limited to one total tag. Additionally, it cannot be used if the player is not an impending free agent, of course, if the tag was rescinded earlier in that same season, or if it is restricted by a specific CBA rule. So the thing you'd have to be careful as if you wanted to tag somebody, but no one's ever expecting them to do multiple tags, so everyone should know that. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, Walker could be transition tagged. Javonte should be transition tagged. Someone like Pickens, you definitely want to regular tag him, slap him with the franchise tag, because you know how many teams would be going after that. It'd be like, oh, wait a minute. Okay, let's top 10 salary. Like, there's no way. Javonte could flirt with that number. Walker will probably get way more than that amount. Someone's going to offer him a significant amount above the top 10 salary. But Javonte wouldn't shock me if Javonte was around 10. Wouldn't shock me. So that's why Javonte does fit the transition tag a little bit more. I don't know what else. If anybody wants to dial in, let me hit the phone number.
Call into the show. Call.
What else you got, Travis?
So the Pierce one is interesting though, just because like you wouldn't expect them to do that, but then the more you hear, and it's smoke season, so it could just be teams pushing the price up and stuff, but it sounds like he's going to have a pretty big market.
Who? Alec Pierce?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So, he'll definitely have a big market.
If these top 5, top 7 guys are getting 30 plus million now, 25, 26 might not be so crazy for him.
No, Alec Pierce is almost, I would say, I can't say guaranteed, but I would say nearly guaranteed to get 25 mil a year. Like he definitely could command more. It depends on what that looks like. If he's on the open market, doesn't get tagged at all, that's when he's going to get paid the most.
Probably get overpaid at that point, probably more than he even deserves. But and then Pitts might be the toughest one, because like you said, it's hard to know. There's he's the best tight end out there, and there's not a ton in the draft, but there are guys like Likely and Goddard, and so you have to see what happens with them too, I guess.
Yeah. It'll definitely be fun. I mean, we're just at the beginning of this. I don't know what this is going to look like later today, but there's definitely going to be more going on today. Easily. Anything else from you, Travis?
I guess just, what would you say? Would you still have it like 95% Walker returns, 99, 90? Like,
I'd say 80%. I think that just because I don't think they've worked out the deal on any level. So, this could be like one of those things where, if you've ever negotiated even in the fantasy trade where it's like, yeah, we can do it. And then you start talking about it. You're like, bro, we're not even close. What are you talking about? Like, what the hell are you talking about? So that certainly could be the case. And, we don't know. Maybe we're underjudging the way Walker felt about, how the GM handled things, and how he's, I mean, he kind of sounds like he's a little bit of a loose cannon verbally, and who knows what he said to him. I have no idea. Walker definitely he looked like he was annoyed, but it could just be because sometimes belligerent people annoy people that aren't belligerent, especially if they're in different states. And this guy's up there just going, hey, I talked to him. He's weird. He's really weird. He's trying to negotiate with me just right now for a new deal. And Walker's like, just not having it. He didn't even want to be there. Walker's like wanting to go play Madden. He wanted to go study, lift, work out, like, get ready for the season. And this guy's over here just toasty. And, who knows? Maybe that offended him. Maybe there's more to it. We have no idea. There could be anything. But that's why I give it 80%. But 80% because this man loves his team. He loves his coaches.
Yep.
Even though they're, obviously going in a different direction in terms of Kubiak leaving everything, but they're still going to try and keep most of it together. Like, he didn't care about how often does he see the GM? None of that's going to drive him away. He's got his, home. They won a Super Bowl. He's the MVP. Like, this is where he got lifted and vaulted up to his best that he could be. And he's not a hungry for attention or carries type of guy. So it just seems like it's going to go this way.
Yeah, and I'd hope they wouldn't get, like, too stingy with him, but you never know in negotiations. And, like, you do look at that James Cook contract where it was 4 years, $46 million, 11.5 per year. And, sometimes these teams will go, well, he was the rushing leader, and so we don't want to go over that number. I don't think they will. I think they'll pay him more than that, but like, you just never know what a GM's thinking, what an owner's pressing down on the GM with, as opposed to what the player's thinking. Walker could have a number in his mind, and they're $3 or $4 million a year off, and that's enough for him to say, well, you didn't franchise tag me. I am going to go and see what's out there.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Yep. All right. Anything else, Travis?
No, we're good. Maybe probably back later if there's any more news. So
all right.
Talk to you then.
All right. Thanks, Travis.
Later.
We'll be back, I'm sure.
Bye.
Later. All right, guys. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the super chat. Burnt Toast, appreciate you. Rumblers, man, thank you, New Age, for rumbling over here. Proud of you being here early in the morning, my man. New Age, thanks again. Aldi, D Money, are you new? No, I don't think you are. Hit that subscribe or follow button on Rumble. We're gonna hit 4,000 followers today on Rumble. So pumped about that. We'll be back. Don't forget, I've got a 24/7 live Patreon. Links in the description. I've got my 24/7 live chat group. Got my 24/7 live fantasy football content site. Trade calculator. All the rookies are in all the rankings, the bold predictions, the articles, everything. Check that out. Do it live. I'll see you all when news breaks. And I go live, for those of you that are new, I go live Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, every single Monday through Friday. I go live whenever news breaks, like this very show right here. And whenever big news breaks. Sometimes I deem that to be different, if it's like the Tyreek Hill thing. I didn't race to the computer to be like, Tyreek Hill's being released. Like, he's really a nothing burger. at this point, but we did go live on it. But the bigger the news, the more I'm rushing to go immediately live. You can just look at it that way. And I'm also live at midnight Eastern almost every single night. And we're inching toward 10K on Rumble. And when we get it, we're going to be doing a Rumble show as well. So right now we're multi-streaming to Rumble and YouTube like we normally do. That Rumble link is in the description of the video. And on Rumble, please subscribe to YouTube. That link is in the description of the video as well. I'll see you all. D-Money is over on Rumble and on YouTube. D-Money, I love seeing you on both places, by the way. That makes me happy. Overcome, thank you for that super chat earlier. Did Overcome end up telling me what player he cut? Let me see Overcome. Overcome, did you give me? You didn't give me a name. Give me a couple names on the next show and let me know. I'll see you all when news breaks. Deuce.